by billions annually. Recent developments indicate increased risk to Russian military cargoes at sea, highlighted by the December 23 sinking of the Ursa Major near the Straits of Gibraltar. With its war effort reliant on foreign arms shipments, Russia sources artillery and drones from North Korea and Iran via sea routes, vital for sustaining frontline operations. Ukraine, seeking to disrupt these supplies, has demonstrated capability in maritime strikes, such as the November 6 drone attacks in the Caspian Sea, potentially escalating risk to Russian military logistics at sea.
So Iron Port is always concerned about educating you on some of the terms used at the port. Today, the phrase of the day is port tariffs. Port tariffs.
Port tariffs are charges applied for the use of port facilities and services. According to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, these charges can be categorized as follows. 1. Port dues refer to charges applied either on the ship or on the cargo or both for the general use of the port without any specific service being specified. 2. Specific port tariffs are charges applied for the performance of a specific port service. Collectively, these charges are often referred to as port charges, encompassing both port dues and specific port tariffs.
And on our health and security tips today, we are reminding you of why you need to always keep a correct posture. Always.
Keeping a correct posture. Maintaining your body in a neutral posture is important to minimize the stress placed on your body, even if you work at a desk. You need to make sure you have a good posture to avoid back problems, neck pain, and even carpal tunnel. Of course, if you do have to lift something, always size up the load. Keep your back straight and lift with your legs.
And that's the safety and health tips for you, because we are concerned about your health and safety. This evening, we are exploring the current state and future prospects of trade facilitation and cross-border trade in Ghana and West Africa, with a particular focus on the role of women entrepreneurs in small and medium-sized enterprises. Now, the focus is on how women are navigating the challenges and opportunities in the trade ecosystem, the impact of regional trade agreements, including the African Continental Free Trade Area, and the critical support needed to empower women in the business sector. Luckily for me, in the studio, I have some on my other side. He's the CEO of Africa Trade Academy. Grateful to have you. Great. So as they always say, it's good to start with ladies. Ladies first, right? So that is what I want us to understand: the infrastructural, logistical, and regulatory hurdles in trade across West African borders. What really are the challenges we face right now?
Thank you very much. Also, good evening to your cherished listeners. Well, when you are talking about infrastructural challenges, cross-border trade, first of all...
Now, can you pull your microphone a bit closer? Yes, so you can be audible. I think it will be better now.
It will be better. Right. Cross-border trade, as we have it here in Ghana and in the West African coast, can be divided into two: formal and informal. And I'm sure we'll come to that later. So we have those who have registered their business and they are following regulations, following procedures, and they are compliant. We have those in the informal who cross the border daily to go and sell and come back. We call they are the informal people. They are not registered.
Okay.
They do not follow any format. They are neither people who pay attention to regulations, or are they even aware of but they are not sometimes even aware of the procedures at the border. So there are so many things that mute against them, or that move against cross-border traders when you are talking about procedures at the border. And sometimes, but I'm happy to say that there's an improvement, and we are hoping for better things and better times, because it used to be very difficult for them to just cross the border by even doing documents, filling in their documentation. That was a problem, that was a challenge. But we believe that with education and talking to both sides, border agencies and then the cross-border traders, they will begin to understand each other in the business. But these are some of the infrastructural challenges.
Market infrastructure, like if you take Kejitia, Tema market, for example, these are markets that deal in such kind of goods. And so the redevelopment of these markets can enhance or has enhanced trade facilitation. However, we need to see both activity at the border as well as in country. So the issue of warehousing, for example, and to note that a lot of the products sold are food-based products or food products. The lack of warehousing or appropriate means of storage plus delays in crossing the border affects the quality of the product. So then if it's a perishable and within a day or two it's not sold, it's not quality to sell again, and neither can you even dispose it as a trader. So those are some of the things. But the measures we've seen so far, apart from the logistical ones or the infrastructure that I've mentioned across the border, they are supposed to be low-value products, which is having a threshold of about, let's say, between $500 to $2,000 of products that is not supposed to take too much time to either inspect or clear. Okay. However, it takes a lot of time for them to go through the process. Some alluding to the fact that some of the traders don't know the process, or on the other side, the officers, in terms of the border officials, may want to, in the name of doing a thorough work, end up, delaying and crossing the border. So, though we've seen improvements in the regulations and at the border, we haven't seen their actual implementation that puts in focus the role and importance of this group of people. So SMEs, small-scale cross-border traders, women in cross-border trade are very critical to our own survival. We need to, bring these issues to the Ministry of Trade, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and any other agency, Immigration, Interior, to be able to, put this forward at the negotiations, whether at the ECOWAS level or at the continental level with the AFCFTA.
Now, we've discussed the challenges, but are there opportunities as well in West Africa, and especially positioning Ghana as a hub?
I think there are quite a number of opportunities for our women. For example, with the African Continental Free Trade that is in, there are so many opportunities for our women traders, or for SMEs in general, not just the women, but for men and women as well. It brings in a lot. When you look at the African Continental Free Trade, it's come out specifically on women and has provided right now to give a wide range of opportunities for women in particular to address some of their needs. So as I said, there are opportunities for them well spelled out. The market has been expanded. They can now move very easily. The threshold has been built today. We know that we have a simplified trade regime where I mean, if you have just about $3,000 worth of goods, you pass through easily. But how do they know this? They've provided an area where they can be trained, create awareness. And for us at the NTFC level, the Trade and Gender Committee brings on board the opportunity to have training for them, to expose them to some of the things that they implemented in another way, the consultation, the interactions. It behoves on the agency that is bringing out these rules and regulations to interact, to consult the traders and discuss with them what they are bringing, and then take on board the traders' comments. The protocol on youth, I think, the protocol for women that the African Continental Free Trade is very wide. It makes them competitive. And one of the strong points is to make them to be able to export, and add value to it, and then also be part of the regional value chains. And if things are good, the global value chains.
Relatively relaxed compared to some of the advanced countries' markets. However, it is regulatory-wise opaque.
Okay.
So which means that often regulations in ECOWAS countries are varied, they are different, and you wouldn't know them mostly in advance. If, for example, you went to export to the EU, it's much more easier to visit a website and get every information. But let's say you want to export to Nigeria, you want to export to Cote d'Ivoire, for example, language barriers and things like that. But yet still, it's an opportunity. So SMEs can consider the ECOWAS market strongly. Thirdly, it's also a region with close proximity in terms of travel distance, and you can undertake exploratory journeys as a business. If you have the resource to do that, you can travel, you can participate in fairs, trade fairs and exhibitions to learn about the market opportunities. So by part of ECOWAS. But technically, they are still part of ECOWAS because the travel arrangements still exist. Okay. Goods and services legitimately sold or bought from them can be traded. However, yes, some of the incidents of terrorism and insurgency has created some level of instability, but it still does not affect us too much. Most part of the region is largely accessible to citizens of ECOWAS. In fact, there's a saying now that it's not more an ECOWAS of countries, it's an ECOWAS of people. So we're moving from individual country members to having a regional mindset that you can travel along across the region. Certainly, it is not the region has not reached the integration that the citizens would have expected. For example, you'd have expected that you don't need to do 90 days if you travel, or maybe with your...
Thank you. Women in SMEs and women-led SMEs, they do have their challenges. And we can talk about their access to financing, their access to information, their access, lack of knowledge on procedures, lack of knowledge on even agreements that do benefit them. They are, if we say an SME, does he or she, especially the women, do they have the courage to even approach customs officials to ask for more than what they have, So that how should I say it? There's a need for these women, if you are talking about solutions, to be made aware of some solutions that can help them. How do we create financial opportunities for them? How do we make them, how do we let them account for the time that they are using that is not usually recognized? SMEs do contribute a lot, and we say that they are the backbones of the African economy. For example, in Ghana here, our small and medium-scale entrepreneurs are actually the backbone. If you go to Mokola, you see these women, they are the ones going and coming and moving, and they create jobs. So their activities do impact on the banks and how they can consider them, and in granting them loans, and how well they can utilize these loans to educate them on how to manage their finances, bookkeeping here and there, so that they know what they are doing. Women SMEs have come a long way in Ghana, and they are into everything now. Spices, textiles, skin products, cosmetics, so you can see that there's a lot of improvement. Most SMEs are also registered, so their contribution to the economy is noticeable.
Yeah.
You can notice that. They are not in the informal sector too much, but you can know that they are contributing to the economy, no matter how small. And they tend to give jobs, employment, because as they work with people, they do take advantage of this, and it goes a long way to help them. The SMEs bring down poverty.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. And two things I picked from all that you've said. You spoke about expertise, and that would mean mentorship and all of that. Then you talked about how they can start exporting or doing their business across borders, and that comes with the networking bit. I want to find out what's the critical role of networking, mentorship, where you want to talk about capacity building initiatives in all of this.
They are very important. Networking is very important. Mentorship is very important. Capacity building is very important. We need to build the capacity.
Okay. What's the position of AFTA in all of this, empowering women to actually do well in SMEs?
In fact, you know that the AFTA, right from its preamble, it says that women are very important. It's indicated in its preamble that, and it goes to talk about it in its articles, stating. And now not only has AFTA done this in the preamble and in the articles provided, but has gone on to create the protocol, which was adopted last year, somewhere last year. But unfortunately, we haven't done much on making it known. We are now going to publicize that one. It was adopted just last year, but there's a need for us to.
We've noticed a lot of, SMEs in sectors that are producing easily copyable products. So if we take cosmetics, for example, if we take processed food, if it's gari, if it's kokonte powder, almost similar. So it doesn't create a long-term competitive advantage for a business if your product can easily be, viewed by somebody's eye, and the person can create the same thing the next day. So I wanted to suggest and add that as SMEs, there's a need for consideration. As we develop products, to be more to increase innovation, to do more research, increase innovation, and create products that can give us some long-term, competitiveness. So not to mention any product, but recently some people have started with, for example, one clear distinction between doing business domestically and being involved in international trade is marketing internationally. So you may be good, you may do an advert that everybody in Ghana will laugh at, but the same advert, promoting your product in just your next door neighbor will not, create a crack, So those are some of the things that businesses and SMEs will still need to build their capacity in, engage and participate. There are several institutions. Ghana, I'll be happy to mention that Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Shippers Authority, the Ministry of Trade, of course, Africa Trade Academy. These are institutions that exist in Ghana to support business to be competitive, to be able to engage in international business successfully. So, in terms of manufacturing, what I need Ghana. Now, again, it depends on how people want to explore, how people want to take advantage of it. But I would want to recommend a strategic view. You see, a strategic view is taking several steps to achieve a goal. Yeah. And one of the strategic objectives to say which markets in Africa outside of ECOWAS are growing, are doing well, and which of them would I want to target. If you take 4 or 5 or even 3 or 2, you can go in there and access the market opportunity for your product. Look at the market access conditions. What are the customs regulations? What are the standards authorities or food and drugs authorities do they require? Try to understand it. So you make time to invest in some research. And then once you can have that information in front of you with both, hard facts plus sentiments, you can say, okay, I want to choose this market and choose this product to try. And then, of course, you learn and see a better experience. What people do in our experience is that once they hear of the opportunity, without a lot of background work, they just pick a product, they want to go. And then when they meet a roadblock, the automotive industry in Southern Africa, these are the strategic things we need to start thinking about, policy-wise and business-wise, so that we can take advantage of market opportunities. Otherwise, the agreements will be signed, pictures will be taken, we'll all celebrate here, but we'll not be able to take advantage of it.
If you just joined us, this is Ion Port, and it is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. It's time to hear from our partners, but when we return from that break, we'll be looking at how regional cooperations and collaborations can be strengthened to support SMEs.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back to Iron Pot. Iron Pot is powered by GPHA. Remember, you can also contribute by calling the phone line 0245834980. I've already mentioned the WhatsApp line for you. It's 0538037353. Let me immediately read some few comments that are coming in. This is coming from Ohima from Tema. She says, "Good evening, Iron Pot. Very insightful discussion. I commend the efforts of your guests for their massive contributions and advocacy for the cross-border trade and international trade in general. And special greetings to you, Antina Denso and Reverend Odisedu." It's coming from Ohima from Tema. And this one is from Petra Accra. Petra says, "I'm loving this discussion, Iron Pot. It's interesting to think about how societal norms in
cross-border traders, cross-border women traders. And its main objective is to promote and mainstream gender into all policies, trade policies, to ensure that trade policies do not come out as gender neutral, but they are gender sensitive. So policies from any of the organizations in trade.
Okay.
Now, it encourages continued dialogue and gender accountability, and it works in such a way that, for example, if you're an organization, you are coming out with a policy, a trade policy, you should consider gender, women, how your policy will affect women and how it can empower women. What the Trade and Gender Committee has as terms of reference, one of them is to find gender champions are from organizations that are normally border agencies. They are members of the NTFC. Let them understand that women and gender policies or policies that they are coming out with should be gender sensitive. So the Trade and Gender Committee has a mandate to ensure that NTFC members are all well trained on gender issues. By so doing, they will understand when they are coming out with policies that affect women or that affect their trade. We point out them, their rights, their privileges, and then the benefits that accrue to them. We do this by engaging them on regular basis. And we believe that as we continue, it's supposed to be quarterly, to engage these women SMEs and to bring to the fore what is expected of them and what the opportunities are. The Trade and Gender Committee is one best practice. It's been going on since 2022, and I must say that it's the first to start in the whole region. In the
clear things that is a challenge and for which financial institutions, NGOs can support has been in the area of product development. So, like I mentioned, the products are quite similar, but even what is similar so far, we've seen a lot of support from donors to SMEs to develop. Now, if you're a financial institution and an SME approaches you and you are providing them finance, you should be able to think through with them to see if they need financing at a good rate and also at a relatively longer term. Because things like product development are like R&D, research and development in a business, and it comes with cost. So being able to find products will come at a cost for which you need some type of financing that could be much more relaxed and much more longer. The second one is in the area of market development. So yes, I have a product, know-how, capacity. And, there's something about SME growth. When you come to Africa Trade, we teach that. We teach something about the steps of growth. Okay. And one of the steps of growth, or the steps of a business growth from, establishment or existing to becoming a success, the owners of the business need to evolve. They need to grow in mindset. They need to grow in capabilities and capacity. And so if you look at many international businesses, especially in the West, at a point in the business growth, the founder steps aside. The founder, kind of like allows, if not at the level of CEO, but at certain operational levels, people who have certain know-how. And unfortunately, for our businesses, usually when we are growing, we still want to hold grip to it. We don't want to allow new ideas, people with the wherewithal to help us to grow. So sometimes you see donor interventions or project interventions. You mentioned mentoring and coaching. Some SMEs don't like that. For them, the biggest need is money.